Tonight's headlines are brought to you by McDonald's and Mariana's Coffee.
Good evening, Commonwealth, and thanks for watching the Channel 2 News. Let's take a look at tonight's top stories. The former finance secretary appears before lawmakers this week, but just like those before him, he pleads the fifth. Also tonight, who else will be called for boost hearings? It's not over just yet. And DPS shares numbers of crimes that happens each week. In sports, runners from around the world traveled to the Marianas over the weekend. Stay with us, we have these stories and more up next.
Find a plan that goes with your flow. Get unlimited local talk, text, and data at the most affordable rate with Unlimited Flow Postpaid.
I love Mariana's coffee. Come join me for a cup. I think you would be really happy.
Shizuru?
Kazuki?
Could this be
a date?
Go for it!
Try new savory chili McDonald's sauce, only at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Go!
Ladies and gentlemen, is the government's code of ethics. And if the viewing public thinks that a grave violation of your trust has not been overstepped, then you are greatly mistaken.
Representative Vincent Audon cited this section of the Commonwealth Constitution after David Attilig invoked his Fifth Amendment right when asked questions relating to Boost. Attilig is the former Secretary of Finance and was one of the managing heads of the Boost program. He appeared before the Special House panel Tuesday morning and this afternoon, but refused to answer questions from lawmakers that related to the Boost program.
The advice of counsel, I respectfully respond to your question by asserting my right to the Fifth Amendment under the United States Constitution to remain silent, which the U.S. Supreme Court has explained that one of the Fifth Amendment's basic functions is to protect innocent men and women who otherwise might be ensnared by ambiguous circumstances, and has repeatedly affirmed that truthful responses of an innocent witness may provide the government with incriminating evidence from the speaker's own mouth. And that's Ohio versus Rayner, 532 U.S. 17, 2001. I further respond to the question by asserting my rights under the scene of my Constitution, Article 1, Section 4C.
Lawmakers pressed Attilig to tell them his familial relationship to several Boost awardees who were paid just days after submitting their application. They claim one was even paid before their application was submitted and that Attilig was the one submitting the documents. Attilig invoked his Fifth Amendment right. Members also asked Attilig to explain contracts between Royal Soil, Krang Industries, and the Sinamite government. But Attilig continued to invoke his Fifth Amendment right. The committee voted to find him in contempt. The Special House panel wrapped up its investigation into the marketing side of Boost this week. Former Finance Secretary David Attilig appeared before lawmakers this afternoon and Tuesday morning, while Shane Villanueva, Robert Travilla, and Selena Sapp testified last week. All four invoked their Fifth Amendment right, and the panel found each one in contempt.
I hope this brings light to the AG's office, and probably they can continue with the contempt with the two other, marketing companies.
But according to Chairman Ralph Yumo, the investigation isn't done just yet.
We're looking at bringing in some of the recipients in, just so that we can answer some of the questions the secretary could not.
Yumo says they plan to call in Boost recipients who received multiple awards. In December of 2022, the former House members released the list of paid Boost applicants and the amount awarded. According to the list, there were 52 paid applicants from Tinian, 44 from Rhoda, and 188 from CPon. The list also displayed companies and nonprofit organizations who received more than one award, such as the Lovebirds Restaurant in Tinian, One Marianas Initiative on CPon, and Abelina Mendiola D&J Construction on Rhoda. Yumo says they still have questions.
Bringing in the recipients would answer some of those questions that some of the people that were involved couldn't answer. So we're going on that route right now.
Now, there are a few companies who did receive Boost money and actually used it properly. And there are even some who were granted Boost money on paper but never actually received anything, such as the Poksu for Days, who spoke with KSPN back in July of last year.
I'm not sure where the money went, but we didn't receive anything, so...
So you guys didn't get even $1?
No.
Nothing?
Nothing. Just want to make that clear.
Okay. And when you followed up with the bank, it was shortly after the raid and everybody stopped talking?
Yeah.
Is that basically what...
But we didn't open a bank account. Yeah. Marco didn't have the chance to open a bank account, too.
Yeah.
So there was no transaction into the business account.
Chairman Yumo says they aren't going to subpoena all the Boost recipients, just a few.
There's a lot of recipients that receive it properly. They use it properly. We're not bringing those in. But those that never did anything with it.
So far, lawmakers have talked to almost everyone involved with the Boost program, such as former Chief of Staff Will Castro, former Commerce employee Jess Taisegui, former Commerce Secretary Edward Delon Guerrero, Bank of CPon President John Arroyo and Loan Officer Karen Callan, and the latest to testify, Villanueva, Travilla, Sapp, and Attilig. But there is still one person lawmakers haven't called in, and that is former Governor Ralph Torres.
You know, at the end of the day, the buck stops with him. So we're gonna have to sit down and look at what we've gathered when we compose the report, and should we need to call him in, we'll call him in.
Yumo says they are also planning to form a partnership with Guam to call Castro back in.
We are looking into getting an agreement with another body in Guam and seeing we can extend that subpoena to Mr. Will Castro.
Chief of Parole Nick Rages has two separate jury trials scheduled for this year. On Tuesday, Associate Judge Teresa Kim Tenorio set the trial for conspiracy charges for June 3rd. Rages, who is currently on leave, is being accused of conspiracy to commit misconduct in public office and conspiracy to commit theft by deception. FNS Corporation owner Chuilan Fu is named as co-defendant. These conspiracy charges stem from the construction of a patio outside the Board of Parole office that occurred in October of 2022. According to the information filed by Special Prosecutor James Kingman, the patio at the parole office was set to be constructed by Foos Tailoring Company in the amount of nearly $10,000. But, quote, was actually constructed by uncompensated labors performed by parolees under the direction of Nick Regis, unquote. Regis has pleaded not guilty. Kingman has also charged Regis with 4 counts of forgery, alleging that Regis forged and altered the term of employment for a person from 30 days to 1 year. The jury trial for that has been scheduled for April 24th. Regis is being represented by attorney Joaquin Torres, while Kingman will represent the government. The Department of Public Safety reports that in just 1 week, 52 disturbing the peace incidents were called in, while 21 theft cases were also called in. DPS spokesperson Fred Sato shared these stats with reporters on Monday. Sato says he is bringing back the weekly police blotter stats report to be shared with the community, and that it's important to know what officers do on a daily basis. The police blotter is organized by types of incidents and location of the reported incidents. Between March 3rd to the 9th, DPS received 3 calls for assault, 4 calls for assault and battery, 6 calls for assault with a dangerous weapon, 5 calls for domestic violence, 52 calls for disturbing the peace, 4 calls for criminal mischief, another 4 calls for criminal trespass, 1 call for child abuse and neglect, 3 calls for burglary, 21 calls for theft, which led to 1 arrest, and 2 calls for sexual assault. Sato says criminal complaints have been forwarded to the Criminal Investigation Bureau for further investigation. For the DPS weekly traffic incidents, there were 7 calls made for auto-to-auto crash, 2 calls for auto parked vehicle, 5 calls for auto ran off roadway, 1 call for reckless driving, 2 calls for driving under the influence, 6 calls for auto fix object, which is an accident that occurs when a vehicle collides with something that is permanently placed wherever it is instead of another vehicle, and 2 calls for vehicle theft. Severe injuries and fatal traffic incidents are transferred to the Highway Patrol Investigations Unit for further follow-up. DPS is expected to release their stats reports every week. Stay with KSPN as we bring you the numbers.
Find a plan that goes with your flow. Get unlimited local talk, text, and data at the most affordable rate with Unlimited Flow Postpaid.
I love Marianne's coffee. Come join me for a cup. I think you would be really happy.
Premium office space is available now at the Hermosa Vista Business Park on Capitol Hill. Features include dedicated parking, fast internet, backup power, good water, and natural light throughout to go along with the very best views on Saipan. So don't settle for space when you can get peace and peace of mind. Call Hermosa Vista today at 670-483-4750 or email hvsaipan@gmail.com.
Thursday night, we are pleased to present right here on the Channel 2 News, the Humanities Half Hour, hosted by Catherine Perry. This year marks the 35th anniversary of the Northern Marianas Judiciary, so it is only right to have CNMI Supreme Court Chief Justice Alexandro Castro as this week's guest.
You were mentioning a few things that are unique about us in the covenant, for example, the composition of the Senate also Article 12, the alienation of land ownership. And I believe there's also some other customary Chamorro and Carolinian or customs that are considered in the courts. What are some of those customs?
I think the most important ones would be those dealing with land. Because remember, in the Carolinian culture, the big bosses of the land are the female. It's a matrilineal society. On the Chamorro side, it's really the father of the house. But it was very hard, because I sat through many probate cases. I think one of them is ROFAC, that I had to move the court from the court to the house in Quartermaster Road to take the testimony of Mrs. ROFAC, who was already bedridden and cannot go over to the court. So we had to take her testimony about whether these particular children were really adopted under Carolinian custom, moy, moite, and things like that, or it was just raising somebody else's child. Mm-hmm. But because Carolinian is very complex, that's the Refaloas customs on adoption, it's very different from Chamorro.
The show starts at 7 p.m. Don't miss it.
In Yoshino, Kumano National Park, we pause and take a morning bath in the sunlight. Forest bathing, it's calming, a deep natural meditation. Jim is a North American photographer who takes pictures all over the world.
You try to anticipate when a person walks into or up into that light.
We take deep breaths, and none of us want it to end. Ichigo, Ichie. Caleb is hiking solo from North America. He's the only other hiker we've seen in 6 days on the trail.
Pretty familiar with hiking alone and, just doing long-distance hiking in general. So I really love backpacking. It's like one of my favorite things in the world.
Caleb hasn't planned very far in advance, but with the good weather and the right gear, he's been all right.
Totally day to day. Don't hate me for this, Japan, but I have stealth camped on some of your beaches and some random places in the woods. But that's just because sometimes with the route, I would end up in a really random spot.
Last summer, Caleb hiked the Pacific Crest Trail. This is his second time in Japan, and he says he's making the most of it.
Just the villages. I love seeing the Japanese countryside. I love meeting the people. I actually just hiked with the local. He does his little walk every day. 5 kilometers or so, and it's been amazing. I just love the Japanese countryside, so it's all really been a highlight, to be honest.
Is this your first sort of long distance hike within Japan?
It is, yeah, first one in Japan. I came here 1 year ago, and the only thing that I regretted was not being able to backpack. So came back this year with the intention to get on some sort of route, and this is the one.
And Caleb compares hiking in North America with Japan.
I think that part of this is very different than long distance hiking in America. I think through hiking, what they call it in America is, point to point with a goal in mind. It's kind of like a pilgrimage in the sense that, you are looking introspectively, you are trying to find out who you are and what you enjoy and what you want out of life. And just to simplify your life down, right? You live out of a backpack and you realize you don't need as much as people traditionally think they do to be happy. But with this route, there's just so much culture and history that I've kind of just been taking it in as I go along. I think it's really, really weird to walk on a route that emperors and aristocrats and pilgrims used to take 1,000 years ago. And some of the history plaques are a little creepy, like the spirits of a snake woman that will haunt your body and torture you in the night as you're sleeping like 10 feet away. But it's really cool. I haven't done a whole lot of research into it, but I've just been kind of enjoying it as I go along.
Fast, fun, and easy. That's how your home Wi-Fi should be. So start with an internet plan that fits your budget. Introducing your home Wi-Fi starter pack, also known as WISP. Enjoy up to 25 megabits per second for as low as $35 a month. Plus, a free router with your wireless subscription. That's hours of movies, games, social media, and more endless fun. Get your Wi-Fi starter pack today only at Docomo Pacific. Better together. Additional conditions may apply.
Hi, I'm Dre, one of the personal trainers here at Goat's Gym, and today we're going to go over the kettlebell deadlift. Fantastic exercise to build overall strength, particularly in the legs and hips. Remember, we want to make sure that our setup is in good position. If you set up in a bad position, it's not going to look good and it's certainly not going to feel good. So a common error setup is obviously a rounded upper back. Two simple ways of correcting that. All I'm gonna have Vince do here is extend his arms up here, and all he's gonna do is think about reaching long and pushing his hips back. Reach long and push your hips back. So as you can see, he's already in good position. Now all he's gonna do is grab that kettlebell. He's got tension in his legs and in his back. All he's gonna do is just stand up tall, finish with his glutes.
Buenas sports fans.
The 2024 CPon Marathon that took place over the weekend attracted over 500 registrants from 9 countries and territories. There were runners from Korea, Japan, China, Guam, US, Hong Kong, Russia, France, Poland, and even Ireland. According to the Marianas Visitors Authority, the CPon Marathon is a certified measured course by the World Athletics and the Association of International Marathons and Distance Races. Chris Concepcion, who is the MVA Managing Director, noted that there was a 57% increase in registration this year. He says their goal is to build each year on the foundation MVA has set of delivering a world-class marathon in the Marianas. MVA has already set a date for the 2025 CPon Marathon to be held on March 8, 2025. Registration is anticipated to open at raceroster.com this summer.
Hey, golfers, come north and practice your game at the Marianas Driving Range. New Year's local specials. 10-piece coupon books available for just $60. That's a $10 savings. Want to get really good? Come work on your swing every day for just $99 per month. It's our practice pass and you're going to love it. Grab your passes and go straight to the range. You can social distance and chip all at the same time, and the views are free. Reserve now at marianastrekking.com. You can pay online, open 7 days a week. At one of Saipan's beaches, this mother lays about 100 eggs under the cover of darkness. She hides her nest as best she can and then slowly makes her way back to the ocean. The eggs hatch and the babies head for the sea, where they will face a daily dose of danger. Just 1 in 1,000 will make it to adulthood. Those that do will one day lay their own eggs. Sea turtles are protected under CNMI law. If you see one that is stranded or if you see illegal activity, call the hotline at 287-8537.
And for your KSPN weather forecast, tonight partly cloudy with isolated light showers, northeast winds 10 to 15 miles per hour, highs 85 and a 20% chance of showers. For tomorrow, partly cloudy with isolated showers, east winds 15 to 20 miles per hour, highs 85 and a 20% chance of showers. For your marine forecast, gentle to moderate winds will prevail this week with possibly a brief period of fresh winds on Thursday. Seas of 7 to 9 feet this morning will continue to gradually decrease over the next couple of days. High tide tomorrow will be at 9:59 a.m., low tide at 5:01 p.m. Sunrise will be at 6:25 a.m. and the sunset 6:27 p.m.